Every human being thrives when they are neither too stimulated nor too bored. There is a fine sweet spot right in the middle. But when you're a highly sensitive person who also likes to live on the edge, how can you ever find that balance? Welcome back to my HSP series, The Highly Sensitive Person, Exposed. If you haven't watched my previous video on what it's like to be an HSP, I suggest you watch that one first. In this video, we are going to look into what it's like to be a highly sensitive person who is also a high sensation seeker, and how you can find serenity in this delicate balance. If you're not sure whether you are a sensation seeker, go ahead and take the quiz that's linked in the description. But some of the signs that you might be are these. You don't like watching the same movie twice. Personally, it takes me at least 10 years before I can revisit a movie, and not even then. You despise waiting in lines with nothing to do. You get restless if you stay home for too long. You vehemently avoid daily routine. You'd rather visit a new place than return to a familiar one. About 30% of highly sensitive people are sensation seekers. So what does it feel like when you are both easily overwhelmed and exhausted whilst also thriving on novelty, adventures, thrills, and taking risks? To me, it often feels like an endless marathon. I love stepping outside my comfort zone and trying new things, like paragliding. But it also takes a lot out of me. I'd need the rest of the day just by myself, doing nothing, to regroup my inner harmony. For a more everyday example, I might go to a social event and then 10 minutes into it feel so overwhelmed that I just want to go back home. It can be difficult for a non-HSP to understand someone with my temperament. And a lot of patience is required. But usually the harsh judgment comes from myself, and I start judging myself for being impossible to be around. But that only exacerbates the situation. What that feels like is a bundle of restless disharmony inside your stomach that makes you want to simultaneously run a sprint and curl up into a little ball in the corner. It's an endless dichotomy. It's a bit like crawling in your own skin. But don't worry, there's hope. After I discovered what I consider to be the roadmap to my inner workings, I'm referring to Elaine Aron's book, How to Thrive When the World Overwhelms You. I began to understand myself profoundly, and with that came a sense of self-love and acceptance. It serves no one to go through life feeling guilty for who you are. And if people treat you harshly because of your temperament, then they're probably not the kind of people that you want in your inner circle anyways. I noticed that when my attitude about my sensitivity trait changed, the attitude of those around me also changed. They treat me with a lot more patience and understanding. So being open about it and explaining to those close to you what it's like for you, what you're experiencing, really helps to free yourself from the belief that you are a burden to society. And with our frail temperament also comes a treasure chest of gifts to the world. It would be a shame to squander that by hiding in a little corner for the rest of our lives because we don't want to face the world. So simply knowing about this already helped me a great deal. In the least, I didn't feel as alone and misunderstood anymore. So set up a safety net around you and let your loved ones know. That can go a long way in offering some comfort. What also helps is self-love mantras that help you embrace your temperament. For example, when you're feeling frazzled, focus on deep breathing and remind yourself that there is nothing wrong with you. If it's a situation that you cannot immediately escape, you can always temporarily excuse yourself by going to the restroom, for example. Or hide inside your car for a moment, somewhere you can remain in peace until you feel less overwhelmed. And if you know that paragliding will knock the wind out of you, just take your losses and don't plan anything else the rest of the day. Avoiding large group activities in general can be a lifesaver, because the more people that are involved in your adventure, the less you will enjoy it and the quicker you will get worn out. Another great tool is meditation. Learn to calm your mind by regularly meditating. I was the kind of person who would lay in bed for hours going over today's events and tomorrow's to-do list. And I would not have a single moment of quiet reflection throughout the day. My brain was always on. It's something I take for granted now because I can barely remember being that way. I tried for years to meditate, but I couldn't even get to 30 seconds. But when I discovered guided meditations on apps like Insight Timer, it changed everything. That was the link I needed to learn how to release thoughts from my brain as if they were clouds floating away and I could observe them but not give them too much attention. Meditation is honestly one of the best tools out there for many inner workings. And then there's running, like literally. When I feel like I just have all that pumped up energy with nowhere to go, I just go for a little jog. Or I hop on my bike, anything that involves cardio. And then there's boredom. Sometimes boredom is very subtle, like in certain conversations, like small talk. The tip that I have for you here is to surround yourself by as many like-minded people as possible and minimize the small talk that you're exposed to. Journaling is another helpful tool. Write down when you feel overwhelmed or underwhelmed. This has the tendency to put things into perspective and you might start seeing connections of action and reaction that you didn't notice before. Knowing the patterns that make you feel uneasy can help you in avoiding them in the future. For example, if you know that you get restless from being at home for too long, plan a little getaway to the store or a cafe or even just go for a little walk. Waiting. That was a huge one for me. I mean, I always felt like waiting was just the biggest waste of time. Until it hit me that time will only be wasted if I'm standing there thinking, what a waste of time. So I started doing productive things while waiting. Sometimes I'll use it as a moment of mindfulness practice. Or I read one of my ebooks. Kegel exercises. Pelvic floor health is important. I've even gotten a lot of work done on my creative writing while waiting. And sometimes I simply enjoy people gazing, wondering what kind of life they might be living and are they truly happy? When I feel understimulated for too long, it's as if my soul has died. Sometimes a simple splash in the ocean is enough to help me feel reconnected with the essence of life and feel vibrant again. Or listening to my favorite music extra loud and dancing my ass off. I'm sure you have your own version of that. Alright, that's enough mental stimulation for now. So I'll let you go on about your day. Let it sink in for now. And remember to subscribe if you're not, so you won't miss the next HSP exploration. But most importantly, do something today that scares you. Tot ziens!